Yo, what is good, YouTube? In today's video, I got y'all the top 5 lowest recoil loadouts you guys can use. If you enjoyed today's video, let's break 200 likes. Make sure you subscribe, those notifications turned on, and let's get into it. All right, so first up here today on one of the lowest recoil loadouts you can use that are actually good, by the way. These are like good, like low recoil meta loadouts. We're going to be going over the Growl 556. So first thing, of course, is going to be the Flare mod, thrown on the 556 conversion for the Growl on the SWAT. So we're going to slap that bad boy on there, and now we'll keep it moving. So first thing in the sort of rear grip section here, we're going to do is we're going to throw on the commando grip. This right here just helps you overall with your, your kind of mobility, your aim down sight speed, jumping, sprint to fire speed, and jumping aim down sight speed. It's not like obviously the most premium attachment. Like you could technically run like an optic if you wanted or something else, but realistically there's not much else you should be running on the Growl. Like it's just such a good gun overall that you might as well just speed up your ability to ADS a little bit, because there's not much you have to do to this thing to make it really good. So slap that on there. Magazine, of course, you just got to throw on the full auto extended mag. This is pretty standard. I don't got to explain this one too much. Get help unlocking Dark Matter, Abyss, and Nebula camos in Black Ops 6 with Mitch Cactus. They're absolutely the biggest and most reliable in Call of Duty right now. Whether you want something across multiplayer, zombies, or Warzone, they're completely legitimate for all platforms. They're super trusted by the community, and you may have seen them all over YouTube, and that's for good reason. They'll unlock all your camos, augments, and more without needing to lift a finger, with over 17,000 reviews and thousands of personalized vouchers. They're the go-to for all things in Call of Duty. Use code CHUCK at checkout for 5% off. Under barrel, this is also one of those self-explanatory ones, so you just throw on the vertical foregrip and you call it a day. There's no reason to go for the Ranger or anything else down here. Just throw on the vertical and stabilize this thing out. And lastly, in the muzzle section, for overall lowest recoil sake, we're going to throw on the ported compensator. Normally speaking, if you want a bit more range and you are okay with some of the recoil, throw on the mono suppressor, and that'll be like the other version of the build. That will be like my version of the build that I will personally run, because I think the recoil is almost non-existent anyways. But overall, for like true no recoil purposes, the ported compensator is indeed the move. And this right here is an incredible build. Next up, I want to give you guys here a very, very low recoil to almost zero recoil build with the MP5, aka the C9. So let's hop in here and show you guys how to build this thing out. First thing, we're going to go into the muzzle section and we're going to throw on the compensator. This is going to help us with our overall vertical recoil control. You don't necessarily have to run this, but if you're trying to build this thing out for, of course, peak recoil control, then the compensator is indeed going to be the move. Barrel section, we're going to go throw on the long barrel to increase our overall damage range. I personally quite like this, and I think this is like indeed like the best thing you can run on this gun for overall increasing the range. We're not using this as like sniper support, so at 17.2 meters is perfectly fine, and same with the bullet velocity. This is a close quarters SMG. We're not trying to make this thing super good for, sniper support distance. This is purely for close range, so go for that. Under barrel section, we're going to go for the vertical foregrip here on this one. If you're going to be going for more movement capabilities, you're going to go down here for like the Ranger foregrip, which you can still definitely actually use on this specific build. That compensator is going to help out quite a bit, and overall the horizontal recoil is not too bad to keep the stack with y'all. So Ranger foregrip or the vertical, but if we're going for obviously recoil control, the vertical foregrip is the move. Magazine, you guys want to go here and throw on extended mag 2. Definitely don't go down here and throw on the 10 mil auto 30 round mag. It says increase your damage range, your damage, all the sort of fun stuff. It increases a lot of great things, but at the cost of like your fire rate and your recoil and stuff like that. And it kind of balances out to be almost like a net break even, or even sometimes a net negative if you want to factor in that it only has 30 rounds in the mag. And everybody in here that's probably watching this video is going to be playing trios, quads, something like that, and maybe some solos. So I'd say that overall, Extended Mag 2 is indeed just the best thing you can run. Rear grip section, we're going to go throw on the ergonomic grip here as our last thing, just to kind of give us a bit more mobility to speed us up at close range. Helps you out quite a bit, and it's my go-to rear grip on essentially every single SMG. So slap that on there, and that's your full no recoil build. Next up here, I want to give y'all a build for the GPR. This is my current favorite AR in the game right now, and this is actually my ideal build that I like to run with it. So I'll show you, like, you can vary it up a couple of different ways, but overall this is like the best way that I can run it, and I think it's the most effective. So First thing we're gonna go in here do is we're gonna throw in the Volziski Reflex. You guys could go for this, you could go for the Kepler Microflex. I personally like the Volziski a little bit more. Gives you that clear picture when you're ADSing, and I think I just enjoy it more. It's like a personal preference thing. It's not like there is an inherent benefit to running the Volziski versus, you know, the Micro Reflex, something like that, or a different red dot sight of your choice. Obviously, don't go for something maybe like the Prismatech. It's not that great, but any of these other ones like the Merlin Mini, Kepler, stuff like that, like it's really honestly personal preference at the end of the day. So I'm gonna go down here and I'm just gonna use the one that I like. I'm gonna slap it on there, and of course I'm gonna go to the customize thing and I'm gonna go and choose the blue dot for Warzone, as I like that. Now we're gonna go on back in here. Next up in the muzzle section, we're gonna throw on the compensator. You guys, no matter how you're building out the GPR, if you want it to be really good for distance, for recoil, like whatever it may be, you want to run the compensator. I see people that like to run, you know, maybe the mono suppressor, and I've seen some real whack builds. Normally speaking, they're on Facebook when they reply to my comments and they reply to my posts, and they tell me that, you know, I don't know what I'm doing. And it's like, well, there's a reason I have an 8 KD and you have like a 0.70. It's like, I know what I'm doing here. So we're going to use the compensator because I know how to build out guns correctly and have them be usable at range. Barrel section. This one might be a little bit controversial, but right now, so there's two options. First one being that I'm using a lot is actually the Game Twist barrel. And I've been taking a bit of a page out of some of the, you know, guys that play ranked play, their book. And just because they use a lot of bullet velocity based barrels, whether it be on the GPR, the FFAR, a lot of them like to use the Game Twist barrel. And honestly, I've been kind of using it a bit more, and I do quite like it. I know technically speaking, it's only 38.1 meters of effective damage range versus 45.7. So there is that drop. The reinforced would be the other barrel you can use. But honestly, it's hitting like a truck. And I really like that bullet velocity. It feels great. You do notice the difference between 1,000 and like basically 1,200. So that extra 200 meters a second does make a large difference. Your shots do hit faster. And sometimes I will say that, well, I should say sometimes, it feels like it just hits harder. So I like the Game Twist over the Reinforce. But if you like the Reinforce over the Game Twist, run, you know, your preference on the barrel. It's not going to make that much of a difference to the point where it's going to ruin your build somehow. You know, it's not going to do that. On a barrel section, we're gonna throw in the vertical foregrip. Sorry, I explained that one for a while, but the vertical foregrip is indeed the move on this thing. Of course, the magazine, you guys got to go through on extended mag too. So this right here is my full build. And if you want something for even more recoil control, you can take off the optic. If you want to use the iron sights, you can go in here, throw on the recoil springs, and I promise you, this thing basically is not going to move. Now at the number 4 slot here, this is not really in any particular order, but this is the MX9 and MW2 SMG. Want to kind of throw this in there because it's really, really effective, and it really doesn't move in terms of recoil. It's got a great magazine size, kind of like any and all the above. The only downside is really that the iron sights are pretty garbanzo beans. So what you want to go and do is throw in basically like a red dot sight of choice. I'm not sure if that was the one I was going to go for. Yep, the Night Arm Model 2023. It's actually pretty early up in here. We got like 69 different optics, but only about probably 4 to 5 are actually going to be good. So kind of, you know, think about that one for a sec. So the Night Arm Model is what you guys want to run. It just is the clearest thing out there. I mean, you could technically run the MK3 reflector or another like regular red dot like the Quarters Reflex. I mean, I wouldn't really recommend the Jack glasses because it messes with your ADS speed. We don't want that. But overall, like, just throw on a red dot sight you're comfortable with. I'm most comfortable with the Night Arm Model 2023, so I like to run that. After that, we're gonna go into the barrel section, and we're actually gonna go through on the 16.5 Bruin S901. This increases our damage range, our hit bar accuracy, movement speed, firing, aiming, stability. Overall, this is like a really solid barrel. I know some of these other ones, I think you can get a little bit more damage range out of them, but we actually do get like that movement speed increase, which is what we really like. And overall, it doesn't really mess with us too much. So I like the S901, and I think you guys will find this to be super, super effective. Magazine, what's really nice about this thing is that for a long time, it only had 32 rounds in the mag, which was absolutely abysmal. And even though it had a good damage profile, it's like you couldn't use it anywhere outside of solos, so there was no point to use it. So for now that it has a 50 round mag, it's like that's awesome sauce, and it makes this thing significantly better. It's been that way for probably about a season and a half, maybe 2 seasons now, give or take, but overall, this is like really solid. Rear grip, what you guys want to go ahead and do is throw on the Bruin Q900 grip. I know it says it's messed to recoil control. It's really not going to do that. This thing doesn't move a whole lot. And if you want to use an SMG that's actually good at close range, like you will have to use on these older SMGs some attachments that negatively affect your recoil control. Otherwise, they will be piss poor slow and they will not be worth using. Trust me on that one. You don't want to get caught in a situation where like you're, trying to run around or be agile and mobile and you just get caught, by someone that's got a Ladra, C9, an LC10, or even like a Vaznev or something like that. And they're just gonna piss on you just because like you don't got the sprint to fire, you don't got the mobility for it. So you don't want to be doing that. Lastly, in the comb section to finish off this build, we're gonna go for the FTAC C11 riser once again for sprint to fire and ADS speed. It really just helps you out here be more agile and mobile. I really like it, and overall this build right here is really quite fun to use. And last but certainly not least, we're gonna go for a build with the Amy's 85. So this right here is a really solid AR that has virtually no recoil. You can build it out to have very, very little. So we're gonna go ahead and show you guys how to build this thing out. First thing, we're just going for the mag since we're right here. We're gonna go for extended mag 2, which gives us 60 rounds of the mag. I am indeed a 60 round mag kind of guy, so we have the 60 round mag on there. Under barrel, this is pretty standard to go for the vertical foregrip. You guys don't need to go for anything ridiculous. I mean, listen, all assault rifle builds for BO6 guns are pretty similar, to be honest with you, with an exception of maybe a couple attachments. Some things are a little bit nuanced, but overall, a lot of them are pretty standard and similar. Barrel section, this is actually another one of those guns where, I mean, look at this. The reinforced barrel is 39.1 meters versus 35.6. And you look at it and it's like, why would I not want a 1232 meter per second bullet velocity versus like 1000 and only for an extra like 3 meters of range? Like, I'm telling you guys this right now, I think the game twist is going to hit harder, but obviously you can test it out for yourself in game and see what you like better. But overall, I'm kind of like more as of recent leaning towards these bullet velocity barrels, as I just think they're hitting harder in game, especially since I play primarily Rebirth. Just to put that out there for you guys that aren't regular viewers, I do play primarily Rebirth, so this works a little bit better for that. Even honestly on Verdansk, having better bullet velocity does make all the difference in the world. So snap on the gain twist or the reinforce, up to you guys. Muzzle, of course, you want to throw on the compensator. If you don't run the compensator, you're actually lost. There's at no point have I ever ran the mono suppressor on this thing. Would it be cool? Yeah. Would it be bad for overall recoil and usability? Yeah. So we're throwing on the compensator. Lastly, in the optic section, this is where you can kind of run, relatively speaking, whatever you want. You could technically go for something similar like the Kepler Microflex, the Volzinski Reflex. The Volzinski is going to be my go-to on this thing. It's like my go-to on Rebirth ARs. I like it quite a bit. You could also even go down here farther and go for something like a Jason Armory 2x or Willis 3 times, and that'll give you, technically speaking, less recoil. But overall, you really don't need that, but that's just an option to put out there. So for the purposes of giving you something that's a little bit of variety, I'll slap on the Willis 3 times, as that'd be my preferred optic between the two. But overall, this is a really solid build. So try this thing out here, and I will tell you guys that if you want something with lower recoil than this, and you don't mind using iron sights, you can do the same exact thing as you did to the GPR and throw on the recoil springs. Don't really recommend it on this gun. I'm going to recommend just having an optic, but it is definitely doable, and I've definitely thought about it. So that is really going to be that. That's my full top 5. If you guys enjoyed it, give it a like, subscribe, check out this other video on screen, and I'll see you guys all next time.